Lindsey Johnson. I am 37 years old. I have had IC it'll be a year in July. July of last year is when my symptoms started. And they started as I literally woke up one day with urgency and frequency with bladder pain that was just constant. It was just nonstop. I always felt like I had to pee and urgently had to pee. And it just never went away. But I did not have pain whenever I was actually peeing. It was always after. So I was so confused on to what was going on. I went to like 4 different urgent cares thinking I had a UTI. And every time I would go in and I would leave a sample, they would give me antibiotics and I would take all the antibiotics. I would feel semi better, like a little bit, whenever I would take those. And then the symptoms would come immediately back. So then I'd go to another urgent care and another urgent care. So I think I did that 4 times. And then they did start telling me, well, your urine's clear, like nothing's wrong with your urine, everything's fine, but they would still give me antibiotics. So then I would take those and go through the process. So after that, I kind of was like, I don't want to take any more antibiotics. So I went to my OB thinking something else was wrong because I had more general burning all around instead of just the urinary symptoms. It like had moved into a burning feeling that was more widespread. So I went to my OB and I was just like, check me for everything, not knowing what was going on. So they checked me for everything. And they actually ended up saying that they put me on diflucan, which is the yeast infection thing. They put me on that just in case. Took all of that, still no progress. I took more antibiotics. And they told me I had been on the wrong antibiotics in the past and they gave me new ones. So I took all of those and my symptoms just got worse. So every single time they would still get worse. And in between all of this too, I was also taking a lot of like cranberry extracts and things that I would get off like Amazon that were supposed to be helpful for UTIs, thinking that I just had a UTI. So I took a lot of like cranberry supplements and just like UTI flushes and just all these natural things that I just had researched on my own that everything made it worse. I went to a naturopath as well. She checked for like deficiencies and stuff. So she did give me some supplements and stuff and some homeopathic remedies that would help the symptoms temporarily, but nothing would get rid of it. I mean, it was still pretty much constant. Oh, and then I also did go to a urologist. So I went to a urologist in between there too, when the symptoms weren't going away after I'd seen like 5 doctors. And they did an ultrasound on my bladder and my kidneys. And they said that everything looked clear there. And then they basically handed me a pamphlet that was about interstitial cystitis and just sent me on my way and said if I was still in pain in 6 months to come back. And all the pamphlet said it was just a list of a ton of foods to potentially avoid. And then that was kind of it. So it was really like, that was probably at my lowest, like where I was at the bottom of the barrel for me was that, because I just felt like no one knew anything about it. And it was an incurable disease. I kept hearing that it was an incurable disease and that there was nothing you could do. You were just supposed to avoid certain foods and you had to figure out what foods triggered you. I also had ordered that medical medium book because I had seen some YouTube people that had done that. And I tried that and it was extremely hard. And I felt horrible while I was doing it, but it also didn't help at all. From July until I believe February. I did pelvic floor therapy too. I did that for I think 3 months. And it helped with like calming my nervous system down and just kind of like breathing through some of this discomfort. It did help some, but it didn't relieve all of the symptoms either. From the first time that I talked to Dr. Mandy on the phone, I could just tell because she knew so much about what I was going through, which no one else could relate to or even pretend to relate to. She was immediately like, yes, I have had it. I've been through this. I know what it's, I know what these symptoms are like, which automatically makes you feel better because no one else, you feel pretty alone when you're going through it because it's not like you talk to a lot of people that are like, I have these urinary and bladder and, just symptoms down there that they can relate to. So that was one of the first differences that made me feel automatically better because I was like, oh, she gets it. Like she's been through this. She understands. And then just the thoroughness of how you had a plan and it was laid out and you already knew these are the tests that we are going to do. This is what we're going to find out. We're going to see if you are having an issue with oxalates, which I had semi-read about, but no one had mentioned anything about that before. And just having a set plan on being like, this is what we are going to test. This is what we are going to find out. This is what it sounds like you might be going through. And so, yeah, I mean, it was kind of just the first ray of hope that I had seen even remotely in my entire journey through it. It was literally the first ounce of knowledge that I had come across that someone was going to be able to help me. So as of right now, my root causes, I believe, are definitely a sensitivity or an issue with oxalates and histamine. I feel like those are probably my biggest things that I'm dealing with. And then I do think because we have found out about my genetics and like that gene mutation that I have, that has led to like some deficiencies and stuff like that can also contribute. And I think that even just taking all of the antibiotics that I was taking had put me in a place to be sensitive to the oxalates and the histamines. Once I had found out from Dr. Mandy that I was probably sensitive or having an issue with oxalates and histamines and stuff like that, when I did look back on the time that I was in the most severe pain, I was ingesting and taking in high amounts of oxalates. I was eating tons and tons and tons of them thinking, well, and because of some of the diets that I was thinking were going to help me or had read would help me, I was taking in so many of those, and it was definitely making everything so much worse. So when she explained that to me, and then I started cutting them slowly out and doing what we had talked about to do and stuff like that, it definitely reduced my symptoms dramatically. The knowledge that she has on this condition and these symptoms as a whole, and then also her knowledge on things to do and all the testing that you do, and then the program with the app. So I found the app extremely supportive. It just helps me be able to keep track of everything without being so overwhelmed, because having IC is extremely overwhelming because there's so much information and you don't know what you're dealing with opposed to what someone else. Everybody's so different. And it just helped me be able to separate everything and really focus on what I was dealing with so that I could communicate that to her. And she just was always amazing at getting back to me with immediate, so quickly. And so I always felt like if I had a question or I needed to know something or there was something else going on, she was there to help guide me. And then once again, with the app, everything was just on there. All the information that Dr. Mandy provides on that is amazing. It was just so eye-opening. It made me feel so much better because I just started to understand what was going on with my body. In March, I was in severe pain. All my symptoms were at like a 10. And now I'm down to, I'm really down to, on most days, I'm down to a 0. And then I'll have moments of being like at a 1. So for me, I I have seen all my symptoms reduce back to where I feel like I'm living my normal life. It's not consuming my thoughts 24/7. And I am symptom free 98% of the time. So I would definitely recommend Dr. Mandy to other people with IC because I mean, there's so many things, but if I could pick the biggest thing, it would be if you are looking for someone just to understand what you are going through, who's been through the journey themselves and understands that everybody is different, but understands the pain that you are experiencing and is determined to figure out what exactly is causing it, then she is, in my opinion, like the only person for you to go to. Because like I said, I went to so many people and I'm pretty aggressive with seeking help. So I sought help immediately. And I also was really aggressive with just going to, if that person didn't work, I go to another and go to another and go to another. And she was the only person. And I went to even other functional medicine doctors too. She was the only person who I felt like truly understood what I was going through and what I couldn't take and what I could and what was bothering me and what wasn't and what was causing symptoms and what wasn't, and was willing to like work and figure it out and had a whole program that was already built that would make it easy for you to do these things and not feel overwhelmed. So I 100% would recommend Dr. Mandy to everyone who's experiencing any form of IC. I foresee in my future definitely a life where I am not thinking about my bladder. I'm not thinking about bladder pain. I'm not thinking about how often I'm going to the bathroom, how long, my urine stream is, things that you like go through and try to think like, is this normal? And is this ever going to go away? Like the worry and the anxiety and all of that stuff. I foresee me living a normal life where I'm aware of the things that I put into my body, which is great in general to do. But now I just know what I can and what my limitations are. And it's not going to be something that's going to plague me. I'm going to have a normal, healthy life with no symptoms or limited symptoms. And when I do have symptoms, I'm going to know why I'm having them and I'm going to know how to address them so that I can get them to go away. So I see so much like hope and normalcy, I think is like the biggest thing, because whenever I was going through IC, I did not feel normal. I felt so not normal. And I just feel like I'm just going to be able to be normal and, feel good, be happy, and not be stressed out over my bladder or anything like that.